Welcome back to No Offense. I'm your host, Makeda Royal, and today I have joining me Jaylyn Sherrod, WNBA player for the New York Liberty. She also led Colorado to their first Sweet 16 appearance in 20 years, was it? She's also two-time Pac-12 All-Defensive team. She got AP, honorable mention for All-American, and she has 3 degrees. Jaylyn, thank you for joining me today.
No problem. I'm happy to be here.
So, first I just want to ask you about your basketball journey. Like, where did this all start?
I didn't really grow up in an athletic background. My mom was very high academics. And so one day I just used to play outside as a kid. I was the only girl in the neighborhood, and my next door neighbors, there was 3 brothers. 2 of them were older than me, 1 were younger, and I always used to hang out with the youngest. His name was Alex, and they had a basketball hoop in the backyard, and I would just go out there and play with them every day, and it was just kind of consistent and started getting good. And one day my uncle was at my uncle was at the house, and he looked outside and was like, told my mom, "You need to put her on organized basketball. She's pretty good." And it just took off from there, and I would say that was around 7 or 8. So yeah, it happened to be playing outside, and just really, got good at it playing with them.
So growing up, if you do remember, like, when you were like, I love this, I love doing this?
It's crazy. I don't think I've grown to love the game of basketball, but I think it was more so the competition that I just love. Like, I'm a very introverted person, and I've been told over the years many a times, like, who I am on the basketball court is just totally different than who I am in everyday life. And I think basketball and the competition of it all was just a way for me to express myself, and get out of my shell and just compete and play at a high level and have so much energy. And it's just a total black and white from my day-to-day life. So I would say, in just loving the game and learning it and the X's and O's of it, that came probably in college. But throughout high school and just my younger years, I just enjoyed the opportunity to compete and work at something that was bigger than myself. So
Definitely a fierce competitor, seeing you play. Definitely you turn it up a lot. So you went to Ramsey High School. How does a girl from Birmingham, Alabama end up at the University of Colorado?
Opportunity. Colorado was my only Power 5 offer. And so it was just more of a opportunity to get myself out there on a high level, and the Pac is no more. Makes me sad, but playing in the Pac-12, that level of caliber every night, was just something that I wanted to embrace. And like I said, for me too, it was a personal mission with Colorado being my only Power 5 offer. I kind of took that as a challenge to really show up and show who I can be, what I can do. And a lot of people missed out on the opportunity. Even, back at home, like, I didn't have the Alabamas and Auburn's calling me and stuff like that. And I really, that was kind of a hit to everything you really work for. And, I guess for me, it was just more so like, it's an opportunity. They believe in me. And I to this day, I feel like I owe Colorado and that staff a lot. So, yeah.
So you get to Colorado, you're from Birmingham, Alabama. What kind of adjustments did you have to make?
I would say I'm very fortunate that I didn't really have I was a freshman and I had to grow into that, but I didn't really have the homesick and worry about, when I'm gonna get home again. And I think partially that's because I'm an only child, so I grew up alone, and I didn't have siblings and like stuff like that. And I'm very, very close with my family, but like I said, I'm very fortunate that my family shows up for me a lot, in waves. So I didn't really have if my mom could catch a game, she was there. If my trainer could catch a game, he was there. So it was just, I didn't really have a lack of support. So other than, I mean, it was, I guess food wise it was different. Culture wise it was different, but other than that I didn't really have a hard transition.
Now you talk about the food. I'm a foodie. I just need to know, like, what do you mean the food is different?
I mean, Birmingham is for people who know, like Birmingham is really like solid when it comes to
Soul food,
yeah,
chicken, yeah.
and it's just not that in Colorado. It's very holistic, very green. So that was an adjustment and just trying to, like I said, the culture piece to find your people out there and create that environment and connection and stuff like that. But I mean, yeah, you wasn't going to Wings Heaven and getting the 6 piece, like that wasn't it
Yeah.
wasn't a thing. So yeah.
Now you get to college. I think what you started the most games in Colorado history. So looking back, do you remember your coming out game? Jaylyn Sherrod has arrived, and people know, like, oh, this girl's a hooper. She's for real. Not just the team, but the world, the fans.
I would say my first game at Colorado, it was our exhibition game, and I think I put up like 11 assists. And I think for me that was my, like, okay, I could do this. Like it's gonna be hard, but I fit here. Like I belong here. I can actually play on this level. I would say for everyone else, we played Stanford that year. Obviously, they were in our conference, and we took them to double overtime. One of them, and I had like 25. And I've always remembered the commentator was like, "This kid is a freshman coming in here playing," because Stanford, it was Stanford. Like,
Yeah.
I don't remember their ranking that year, but I mean, they were top 25, maybe top 10 at that point, top team. And it was just like came in there with no fear and just really attacked them and really went at them, like, And I think for me that was when it was more like okay, she doesn't really back down from anybody and she shows up no matter who it is. So I would say that Stanford game my freshman year.
So you talk about playing with no fear, and what would you describe your mentality being? Where did that come from? Like when you step on that court?
I feel like in life we make sports harder than what they need to be.
Okay.
And I would say we as an overthinker, we tend to overthink things and then psych ourselves out. So I would say I just look at the game like they go to practice the same way I go to practice. The only difference is the name on the back and the front of the jersey. So it doesn't really, you're not really at a disadvantage. You just have to show up and be yourself. And I think I think that approach really helped me manage, I guess, the no fear and no backing down. And two, I've always had a chip on my shoulder. That's just who I am. So I would say just having that something to prove, like, okay, well, we got LSU or we got Stanford, and everybody counting us out, like, nah, we got something to prove. And I think that's just, even like I said, with Colorado being my only Power 5 offer, I take that as like I got something to prove.
So with that, Colorado, when you got there, from football to basketball, what was it like to kind of be a part and witness, especially for women's basketball, the rise?
It was great. I mean, this last season, having sold out crowds and just seeing the amount of support that we earned meant a lot. It meant a lot, and that's something I always cherish. For the school in general, I mean, the school did a whole 360, not 360, 180s from when I was there, from start to where it is now. And just seeing, like, life being poured back into that community and that university, and just being a part of that means a lot, to know that you were a part of change there. So I would say it was really, I guess, humbling, and it's also just a testament to not only my hard work, but my teammates, my coaches, the school in itself, the administrators, just so many people that I saw day-to-day basis and who all did their respective jobs are a part of something that, when you saw Colorado, it's not just, oh, who is, like, it's not really a question. Like, people are knowing who we are now, and I think that's pretty cool.
So I wanted to ask, you talk about never backing down. Jaylyn Sherrod on the court, do you talk trash? I gotta know.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Not initially. Like I don't initiate it.
Okay.
Just more so like if people talk, I'm gonna talk back. I'm not gonna back down. So, but no, it's not like not crazy. I wouldn't say I'm up there with like the Angels or the Cameron Brinks of the world. No, because they just always on 10. But nah, I have my moments though where I get fired up. I do.
You ever hit the too small somebody?
I did.
You did?
I did.
I'm not gonna ask who, but
I did. I did. I actually had a real like viral moment last season because Cameron Brink is Steph Curry's god sister, and we played Stanford, and I hit like the game, the shot to ice the game, and I hit the. And it wasn't even planned like that. My teammate before the game was like, "Oh, I want you to do the celebration," and I was like, "All right, I'll pull it out." And it just so happened the picture that they captured, Cameron was standing right on the side of me when I did.
That's
like when
crazy.
I turned around, she was standing right there. And so it just ended up turning out like that. But it wasn't towards her at all.
I gotta go look at that picture.
Yeah, no, it's crazy.
So I always want to know the number you chose, 000. What made you pick that number?
I started wearing 00 at Ramsey. I think it was my sophomore, junior year. I can't remember, but I went through a lot in terms of my own health and in terms of not getting the best of news in terms of basketball being something I could make a career of, and we were trying to figure out what to do, how to do it, how to get it done. And so I think once we ended up getting new uniforms, and I was just like, I just want a fresh start and a new beginning. And I think 00 really just, I don't know. I don't really know. I just know I was in my head, I was like, I want a fresh start and I want to like new beginning and just clean. And I just thought 00 was the way to do it.
Well, you make it look good. So I want to talk about, so you had a great senior season and you get a call and you get drafted, or you end up going to the New York Liberty. Mm-hmm. So when you got signed, when you got that call, how did you feel?
I'm not gonna lie, after I didn't get drafted, I was very, very angry. Okay. And I was very disappointed because, you know, every kid, when you play at that high of a level, you always dream of getting your name called and have your family around you and seeing your name on the TV and whatnot. So, but New York hit me as soon as the draft was going on. I was like, look, we want to get her up here. We're surprised she didn't get drafted, but we want to get her up here. And so it was a process of switching from the disappointment to being where your feet are, trusting God's timing, and then accepting the opportunity that's in front of you instead of the opportunity that you didn't get. So it was a process for sure, but I had people here that really were there for me and really, you know, allowed me to be in my space, but also picked me up and let me know that, you know, it's still a job to do and you still got an opportunity in front of you to go make the best of it. So yeah, I mean, it worked out.
It did. So yeah, you're there now.
I can't complain about it.
So you get to training camp. What's a WNBA training camp look like?
I mean, I had a great experience. I think going to a team who was in the finals as well last season, just that caliber of team and the maturity level of it makes a difference. So you got a lot of veterans, you got a lot of people who know the game and has been in the game for a long time, working with you every day. So, I mean, I just soaked in as much information as possible and I asked a lot of questions. Just to learn and grow and stay on top of things because it's a job. You're a professional, and so there's nobody really there that's like, okay, well, you got to go to film or you got to do this. You have to seek out what you want to. So I think just soaking in all the information I could and making relationships and asking a lot of questions. is what my training camp experience looked like. And I mean, of course, you had the long days, workouts, and individuals and practice, but it was a good experience overall.
So, training camp, you guys play in the preseason games, and you don't make the initial roster. How are you feeling at that point? What was your mentality like at that point?
I guess in a sense I wasn't really shocked, honestly. Just knowing how business works and knowing that how things looked at the time, I wasn't really shocked. It was more so like, okay, well, I did all I can do, and that's really it. I'm not gonna sit here and say that it wasn't times where I was impatient. It wasn't times that I was itching for that phone call or I was itching for the next opportunity. But I will say, in all of that, the biggest lesson I got out of it, and this was growth for myself too, to see how even in the midst of not knowing, just keep going and waking up every day and continuing to show up in spaces that you didn't know if it was going to work out. You didn't know if you was going to get the call back. You didn't know if what was next. Because I've never, like, I've been a planner my whole life. Like, I planned out everything from, I'm just very meticulous about things. So from even at Colorado, when I went on my visit at 17, I was like, all right, I want to graduate with my master's. Like, everything was planned out, and I had everything, like, this is what I want to do by this time and this time and this time. So actually having no control over my situation was very challenging, because it was just like, I've never been in a space where I just don't know what's next. So that, yeah, it was a learning process, and it was really trusting God and believing in his timing. But I would say, yeah, it was just being patient and staying ready, so that when I did get the call back, it wasn't a drop off, or it wasn't going into it unprepared, because now we're in the middle of season.
So you mentioned just not being in control. Did you see Inside Out too?
I did.
It was a great movie.
Great.
When you mentioned
10 out of 10,
you're a planner, meticulous, like my
Mhm.
mind took me right to that movie, because I thought instantly of that. So cool. You mentioned when you were in training camp, you asked a lot of questions, you soaked in a lot of knowledge. So was there any advice that you got from the vets?
Yeah, a lot. I guess the biggest thing I would say is, and when you're in a business like that, in the WNBA, it's hard enough to get into as it is. There's only 144 spots, and it's not even really 144 because of cap space. Teams might have 11 instead of the 12. So it's very hard to get yourself in the door. But I think not allowing other people's decisions to make you question yourself is probably one of the biggest things I learned. Because like I said, when you go to training camp and you do what I did and you show up the way I did, and you don't make the team, I feel like it's pretty easy to sit there and be like, oh, well, I'm getting snubbed and I earned it and they doubt in me type thing. But it's more so like, you don't allow decisions that are out of your hands to make you question who you are as a person or professional, or even, your whole athlete status. So I would definitely say, and that came from vets. So I think getting that and even getting the validation, like, oh, you deserve, you show that you belong, that's always cool to do.
So speaking of vets, you got to meet Candace Parker. So how was that experience?
It was cool. It was cool. I mean, if anybody that know me know I really grew up high on Candace Parker. Like, I wanted to go to Tennessee. I wanted to. I remember I did like a vision board, and I was like, I want to be like Candace Parker when I grow up. I don't know. She just really like changed the game. Definition of a point forward, play any position. I don't know. She was just amazing to grow up and look at. So actually meeting her, it was very cool. And just the conversations we had, and to the point where now, like, we cross paths and it's just like, what's up? Like,
hello, Candace Parker. Yeah.
So
yeah.
it's cool. It's cool, but I feel like I feel like that with a lot of people that I like, even my day to day in New York. I'm like, bro, I'm sitting here with Brianna Stewart and like Sabrina Ionescu. Like, I mean, I knew Sabrina at work and we played each other, but it's just crazy to see like people you grew up watching on TV and you admiring and you know, looking at as inspirations. Now I'm sharing the same spaces, so it's full circle for sure. It's full circle.
So just going back to that Candace Parker interaction, the first one, do you remember any words of like wisdom that she gave you or anything specific out the conversation that just like stuck with you? Yeah.
She told me to smile, and yeah, she said I don't have to be all hard all the time. I can smile. We won the game. But that, and just, you know, talking about how, you know, leadership on the team, and because we talked before the game, and I was just telling her and all of them, I was like, man, we finna go in here and we finna play Colorado basketball, and we had the utmost confidence in ourselves. We knew we could go beat LSU. So it wasn't a shock to us as it was a shock to the rest of the world, but just that, and being able to look back at it and be like, yeah, I told you so. Like,
yeah,
I told you this is what we do and this is who we are. So that was pretty cool.
So moving off the court now, I see you're a big music fan. So you got to give me your top 3 R&B artists.
All time or right now?
Let's go all time.
Janet Jackson is number 1.
Okay.
Everybody knows that I love Janet Jackson. I've seen this woman 3-4 times in the past 2 years. Like, every opportunity I have to go
see Janet. You saw her with Ludacris?
I saw her with Ludacris.
Okay.
I saw her with Nelly literally like a week ago, 2 weeks ago. I was so excited. I was like, row 6. I was like,
so you were close.
Right
there.
Yeah. Man, I don't know. I don't know. It's just something about Janet Jackson. I don't know why. I didn't even grow up like dancing or anything. I just really rock with her music. So yeah, that's undisputed. Like, that's, yeah. Number 2, who I listen to a lot. Anthony Hamilton. I listen to him a lot. But that's part of my mom. She grew up listening to him a lot too. And 3 is, I don't know. I guess I'm going off of who I listen to, not in terms of singers. So please don't judge me.
We're not gonna judge you.
I would say Mary J. Blige. I listen to Mary J. Blige a lot. I think I got, my trainer was joking about it the other day, but he was like, man, most people do their best work in their hardest times. Like, and you don't really realize it, but you end up doing your best work in your hardest times. We were talking about Mary J. Blige because she put out bangers when she was going through it.
That My Life album. Yeah. She talked about what she was going through.
Bangers, like no skips. So we was just talking about how, you know, you look at it as a storm, but you don't realize you probably doing your best work.
Producing something great. Yeah. So, with that being said, what are you listening to before the game? You listening to Mary J. Blige? Or you listening to like Glorilla? Like,
everything. I'm big on music. Like, I have a very diverse music taste. So, it just depends on how I feel today. But it can go from gospel to rock. It just depends on how I feel on the day.
Hobbies. Off the court.
I build Legos.
Okay.
In my free time. I've picked up reading again. I used to read a lot, but I picked it up recently. What else do I do? I watch YouTube videos a lot. I would never do like YouTube, but I do think it's cool to see people like actually pouring into that. I think it's cool. Podcast. I'm a podcast listener.
Okay.
And anything true crime. I probably have watched every episode of the first 48.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I'm watching Criminal Minds right now.
I knew that was gonna be literally the next thing you said. You probably like Cold Case too.
Cold Case, yeah.
Cold Case, pretty good. Yeah. So you mentioned you like music. You see yourself picking up an instrument one day?
I used to play piano growing up as a kid.
Okay.
Mom put me in piano classes. I don't know why. I should ask. That was like a random. Like, it was very random.
Yeah.
I don't think it was like, oh, I love music.
She wanted you to be well-rounded.
Yeah, it didn't stick. I don't know anything now. Okay. But I did take piano classes growing up. I was in a band at WJ Christian, actually. Never, like, and the choir. But
Oh, you can sing?
no, not at all. The choir, because they went to Six Flags.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, went to
Okay.
Six Flags, so I just wanted to go to Six
I
Flags.
think you're missing something. You can act.
Me?
Yeah.
Nah.
We did a play. It was like a bootleg Tyler Perry play in high school. It was crazy. And then we did another one in theater class.
I didn't act in that one, though. I was
Yeah,
more
you
so
did.
behind the scenes. Was I not?
I think you acted in that one.
I don't remember.
And then we did another
I've
one.
done a lot of things in my life.
Yeah. We did another one. It's like the school counselor. I don't know.
Yeah.
Shout out to theater class at Ramsey High School.
It's like for sure.
So, wrapping up this interview, I want to ask you 2 more things.
Mm-hmm.
The first being, what would you tell a little girl right now that wants to play basketball? What words of advice would you give to her?
Never let anyone tell you no. If you have a dream and you want to go achieve it, go get it. But on the flip side of that too, I would say you have to go get it though, because I know so many people who are gifted, naturally born talented, but think their talent is just gonna carry them. Or and on the flip side, I know people who aren't, naturally talented, naturally gifted, and they have to work 10 times harder. So you have to pour in to what you want to get what you want to. It's not just gonna come, because life is hard, and you really you gotta go get what you want in this life. So I would definitely say never let anybody tell you no, and actually go get what you want out of it.
And if you could talk to yourself, when you first got to college, maybe even the end of your senior year, what would you tell yourself right now?
Yeah, I was talking to 17-year-old Jaylyn.
Yeah.
It's worth it. I think a lot of times I've been through a lot, and it was like questioning if it's really worth it, if it's really like worth the stress, worth the emotional roller coaster, or worth the physical pain that I was going through at the time, and question if I even wanted to do it anymore and just focus on school.
You had a time like that where you were like, I don't know.
No, I was like, it was really when I was going through my hip issues and being a freshman and not really being understood and not really being around people who understood me. It was like, yeah, man, it's tough. I mean, I even like just went through that similar thing with the W, and not knowing if I'm gonna get a call back. Do I need to just go finish my degree and go about my business? But yeah, I would definitely say it's worth it, and just keep putting one foot in front of the other, because you got it.
And lastly, so where do you see yourself, and what do you hope for to accomplish in your basketball career?
I mean, to be honest, I would feel like most people who like are in my circle know this, but I didn't have dreams of playing in WNBA. Like it wasn't like that's the end all be all. That's my goal. Like that's what we're gonna do. I really didn't get serious about the W until maybe my June not this last season, but the season before that. And I started hearing my name getting circulated around and hearing people talk about me, and I was like, oh, this is something like you might actually go do something that but I that wasn't growing up. That wasn't the dream. It was go to school, get that master's, and coach. I've always wanted to coach. I've always wanted to get back, just because I've had so many great coaches in my life, and I know the impact they had on me. So I was fully prepared to go and coach after. But I guess at this point, I don't really have anything that's like on a goal list to accomplish anymore, but to just continue to be myself, never lose myself, and continue to be successful. That's as simple as that is. Because I know most people are like, well, I want to be in the league, I want to win a champion. Of course, that's nice. Like,
right.
That's always, having that on your resume and being a part of that is special. But I just want to keep putting one foot in front of the other, because really, like I said, I've already accomplished a dream that wasn't even a dream for me. So I just want to keep putting one foot in front of the other.
Jaylyn Sherrod, great player, great student, great person, and future great coach. Thank you.
Appreciate y'all.
I appreciate
For
you.
sure.
Hey guys, if you like this type of content, like, subscribe, and follow us on Instagram at No Offense Sports.